effect upon Sleaford as a whole. I'll shut up.
Can I thank you very much for that high quality contribution. Councillor Long.
I'd like to thank Councillor Brown for his report, etc. Now, years ago, when they started building Rayleighs, I predicted that nothing, there would be no facilities there. There wasn't even a play area. They just kept phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. The traffic issue of it is obvious. I've been going up and down through Sleaford to visit clients with all the roadworks and diversions over the last 2 days, and it took 25 minutes from Grantham Road to get to the north end of town to a client. So if you have 1,500 house development down the Drove, and then we're going to have another 1,500 up at London Road, I predict gridlock very quickly, even on a normal day. The access to ambulances, I just passed one tonight. God knows what will happen there. You've got 2 doctors' surgeries, which again I've campaigned about for years, and I have got clients who go there, I've known family members who go there, and they're absolute overload. They're promising down here a care home. Now, I would suggest that if this is going to be built near a bypass, you're going to have a few people with dementia, etc., who unfortunately will wander onto the bypass. Secondly, I can't really predict that all the things that they're talking about here will actually take place. But what I will say, because I'm not going to go on, you're suggesting a globe do a traffic survey. I think at the same time we should have an overall survey on the actual pressure on the medical services, for example, the schools at the moment, to see where we are there and how the increased population will impact on that.
Right, before I get on to other councillors, I've just got some briefly to add. I did have concerns about the balancing, the water balancing areas being next to children's play areas. I don't know how many of you remember the late Harry Dempster, who was a town councillor at one point. And Harry had to rescue a child that had rode in a bicycle into a balancing pond that was directly next to a small children's play area. And so I'm very concerned that 3 out of 5 areas designed for children are going to be next to balancing ponds. I'm also concerned that some of the older children may end up trying to walk alongside the A15 to get from, say, Quarrington to schools. I'd like to know about safety for them and getting everybody safely to that site. I'm also concerned about that water flows from west to east in Sleaford, and so if you have all this built environment on the west, what happens to the water? And part of the floodplain is our own allotments, so if you add to the built environment, you know what's going to happen to our allotments. And I do feel that the section 106 needs to be also directed off-site as well as on it. And the staging does need to be very carefully looked at, so that we get the facilities that are supposed to be there before they move on to extra houses. Can I go on to Councillors Allen and Jackson? I don't know who's first.
I think I was. Thank you, Chairman. I think we're all saying the same sort of things. I think we've all got the same sort of concerns, and Councillor Brown summarised them very, very well. The only thing I can possibly say is when I said at the exhibition when I went to see it, that if Sleaford is gridlocked, right, it hasn't got any doctors, and it hasn't got schools and all the rest of it, I don't think there'll be so many houses, to be honest. But of course there is an outline planning commission that sits before us, and an outline planning commission is quite an important one. Once outline permission is given, there's no turning back. It's there. It can be developed in detail, but it will, be sitting there for the next 5 years. So I think it is vitally important that we do get all the comments that were made, and I think Councillor Brown summarised them well, and which other councillors are saying the same sort of things, and do get it to go to do a proper response, and a response that's put forward in a proper way, so that it is going to be considered meaningful by NKDC, and even though it's got all the relevant reports to NPPF, it's still ignored, of course, but at least we've got it on record, and at least it's there for the future. So I do think, I would propose that we do get all the comments that have been made, any other comments that councillors want to put into it across the globe quickly, so that they can put a response back, because I think there isn't going to be a bigger planning permission that we're going to have to deal with in the next year or 2 or 3, to be honest, and that this may well be the last big one altogether.
And that proposal, Chair.
I would propose a proposal. I will wait for somebody to second it at the end of the meeting.
Go on, Councillor Jackson.
Yeah. I have a vision of the future sitting in the NKDC Council Chamber and trying to put forward all these points as district councillors. And the usual response is that the majority start to chat amongst themselves, they don't listen. And at the end of the day, what we have to say as district councillors, and what representatives of the town council who attend that meeting have to say, are just ignored. And one of the main reasons for that is because the argument is that, well, you've got the officers' recommendations in front of you, and so we wouldn't wish to deviate from that. So what I would like to suggest is that, yes, we do go ahead, we have to comment on it for us, but before, well in advance of that planning meeting, we actually asked one of the planners from NK, the lead planner, to actually come along and sit and listen to town council. And that actually then would get in before, and anything that we have that is very sensible and very will make a difference, will actually get there into their report before it comes before the rest of the councillors. And you've got to appreciate that the problem at NK and Sleaford is that the majority of the councillors on NK are not of the ruling group, and so therefore they don't get any input into the discussions that are held in advance as to what they're going to say. And that in itself is a problem. So as I say, I would like to return and say, let's get an NK planner in to talk to us, and at least we're in prior to it coming to the planning committee.
Sorry, Chair, to Councillor Jackson, could you just translate what you said about you don't get prior knowledge in the district about if you're not in the ruling group about the planning?
Yeah. That.
No, I mean, you said something a few...
You get... I think it's well known, it's a well-known fact that the ruling group meet prior to any meeting to discuss what their likely response is going to be. Okay?
Yeah.
And so they have a party response.
Oh, I see. So, in other words, they have decided how they're going to vote before it goes into the meeting.
No, respect what Councillor Jackson's remarks on interpreting that as our predetermination, which is actually would strike out a planning decision and it's actually legal. So, you know, I think Councillor Jackson is not suggesting that.
I'm not for 1 minute, no.
I just clarify something, if I may, for all of you. This outline application, it will be decided under the delegated powers by the head of plan. Okay, it's not going to the planning committee, it's been decided on the office.
Well, in that case, then it's even more important, isn't
The
it?
additional assessment is that the application will be decided under delegated powers by the head of planning, and I can't read his full title, subject to, you know, and just say that the application, if it needs to be referred to a planning committee, then you will be notified accordingly.
I hope the council of Holden or West Home will call it.
But anyway, I just want you people
Thank you, Kevin.
23rd of June is your deadline next for responses.
Chairman, I'm happy to alter my my proposal to do exactly what Councillor Jackson suggests, that once we've got our response from Globe, that we do get the senior guy there and over and say, what is your response to all these points of concern that we've got with that. It's great to alter my recommendations for that.
We've got to the 23rd of June.
Yeah.
To get a report from Globe,
Yeah.
planner in.
I'll remind you, you've got meetings on 8th and 22nd of June.
Point of clarification, I don't know the exact measures, but I believe through various mechanisms it can be referred to a full planning committee, and I can't remember what it's called.
It called it.
Council.
Yeah,
It is called in by a local member.
yeah,
Is
exactly.
it just one? Okay, not more than
Was something
Yeah.
called
Oh, there we are.
Well, I am the councillor that is responsible for most of the area.
That's always
Councillor Dodd is the other one. I'm quite sure we'll be happy to call it in, but they will, I can assure you that they will be very hard on us as to the reasons why we call it in.
No disrespect, Councillor, it's a democracy. So whether they're hard or not, if that's how we feel, we do it.
Can we not have a conversation between ourselves?
through the care.
Right, can I just be clear then? We've got a proposal that we engage Globe to advise us on matters that perhaps Councillor Brown was briefly outlining. Then, Councillor Jackson, you mentioned about proposing that we try and get a senior planner from North Sleaford in advance of the 23rd as well. So we've got one proposal that we engage Globe to.
I was happy to add that to it.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy with, for the minute, I can double that and say that you want, this is the check, you want to engage Globe, and you want me to request a senior planner from North Stephen to turn up at your meeting on the, well, it might have to be the 8th, if I can convince one of them to come on the 22nd.
Which is the day before.
That's the day before.
Yes.
Okay? Yes, I know I'm off, but we'll have to facilitate that decision. So that's fine. The only thing I would ask is your clerk is if you're going to engage Globe, you delegate myself, and because I'm not, I would need council, you would also want me to do it with possibly Councillor Brand, because to engage Globe is very simple. I can't just send Globe an email and you have a look at this, as you probably know, I would need.
You need a brief. I think what Councillor Brand has done is the brief.
Yeah, I agree. But I would like you, if you delegate to me, to contact Globe, if that's what you want. But again, a detailed piece of work you want.
Well, I'm happy to change my resolution to all of that. So we engage Globe, we use Councillor Brand's report as the brief, and refine it as such, and that we request that NKDC attendance and senior planner at our meeting on the 22nd. That's my proposal.
Just very briefly, Councillor. I know
Two
you've got
items,
all members.
basically two items. Number one item is that every school has a catchment area of 18 miles and they haven't put any car parking. And secondly, unless you're going to...
But you think it's
Yeah, okay. No, what I'm saying is, are you going to second it or...
Right.
I'll second it as well.
Right, trying to tie things up. I've got Councillor Joe Matheson, who hasn't spoken yet, and I've got Councillor Titmus, if it's...
I was just going to second the motion.
Right, that's fine.
Something that's important is this. To get an NKDC representative here, surely we could meet again if necessary, rather than leaving it till the 22nd, or actually not being able to have this consultation, which is important.
Yes, could I suggest that if we could get them to the 15th and move move our 22nd meeting?
I don't mind
Is
your
that
reply,
the best
especially this one. I'll cancel next week's and move over into the 15th.
Let's do that.
My agenda for the 8th is staying thin as of today, potentially. You didn't see it. If you prefer me, we'll make it for the 15th, and I'll try and get Globe to
Have the response ready.
yeah, okay. And I'll see if I can get Philippine is the name on that planning app, who is one of the senior planners. Phil Ely, E-L-E-Y.
He's
Well, that's the planning officer that's on that piece of paper, but not using it over. Right. So we're happy then if you're instructing me to contact Globe to give them the brief as per Councillor Brown and ask for a response by the 15th and ask me to request Stephen to ask one of their senior planning officers to attend our meeting in order that we can discuss this item. Is that?
Yeah.
Is everybody clear what
That was
phase
proposed
is?
second. Is that okay?
That was a good idea from Sharon.
Okay.
Women power.
Well done. Can I take a vote? All those in favour?
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16. Well, obviously, if Globe come back to me and tell me say they can do it. Councillor Brown, come through tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Quickly move on to another controversial one, but